Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I'm going to have an opportunity to work on a reel. It's the Penn Sargus 4000, and this is the predecessor to the Fierce Battle line. This was sent in by Chris from Connecticut, asking me to service it. And in the pre-test that I did on this reel, it has a problem that I think we're going to be able to figure out quickly. Whether we'll be able to solve it or not will be another issue. But the Sargus is a nice reel. It was around the same time as the Penn Captiva. You had the Sargus and some others, but you can see it even looks like a Penn Fierce or a more modern Battle fishing reel. Well, what's the problem? Every time I turn it and I get right here, there's a skip. And when you have a rotational issue where it always happens in the same time, typically it involves the main gear. Well, we're going to take this reel apart. We're going to see if that's the issue. We're going to see if we can find a piece or a part that is still available for that reel. And there should be, because the early Fierce and Battles actually used the Sargus parts what were left over from them. So there's a good chance that we might be able to still get that replacement part. But that's conjecture, right? We don't know if that's the issue yet. So let's get started and take these pieces and parts off to see if that's the cause of the issue. While I'm doing that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. My channel covers all kinds of fishing reel service and repair. We try to teach you how to do it yourself and to provide that education in terms of how and what to look for in evaluating an issue with a fishing reel, and then how to resolve those issues. Well, I removed the spool and the handle. I'm going to put them off to the side for safekeeping. We're going to go underneath here and see if we can't figure out the pieces and parts that may be needed to repair this. This is clearly a mechanical issue. The question is whether the part is broken or whether there's something in there that could be jamming a tooth. Right? There could be a broken piece of line. There could be some dirt and debris. There could be all kinds of things that are in that valley of the tooth that is causing that skip. Now, if that skip was more erratic, say it occurred 2 or 3 times every time you turn the handle, then you would pinpoint, at least for an initial starting point, the pinion gear as opposed to the main gear. Because when you look at a reel that has a fishing ratio, in this case it's probably 5 to 1, the main gear is the one turning 1 and the smaller pinion gear is the one turning 5. So if it's always happening in the same place on one revolution, that's generally an indication that something's wrong with the main. If it's happening 3 or 4 or 5 times each rotation, that's generally an indication that there's something wrong with the pinion gear. Well, we're going to remove there might be a screw hiding in here under the grease. So, subscribing, what are we going to do? It doesn't cost you anything. And while subscribing, you're going to see all kinds of fishing reels across my desk. The idea is that, you're looking over the shoulder in my shop, and what folks send in, well, they become the subjects of videos, and along with some stuff I find at flea markets and places like that. But we get all kinds. This one is a 4000 side, which is pretty much a universal size of fishing reel. And, it can be used in lakes, rivers, piers, for a boat and streams, freshwater, saltwater. It covers all kinds of things. And a lot of times folks ask me what kind of reel they should buy. They're thinking of getting into fishing. And I almost always start with a spinning reel. And I almost always start with a 3,000 or 4,000 size reel, depending on where their primary fishing is going to be, because that's the most universal one. You can use it in a lot of places. It's not specialized for one or the other. Well, there's a lot of dirt in here, which indicates that this reel has not been serviced in quite some time. And, we're going to find out quickly whether it's that main gear or not. Just mopping up some of this. When I take my pieces and parts off, they go into a parts tray. I use a fast food container. That parts tray is a way of making sure that you know where those pieces and parts are when it comes time to reassemble the reel. Looking at this reel, this is probably not fishing grease. I'm not quite sure what it is. It could be dirty grease, but the grease that would have come from Penn would have been a blue grease. This is kind of a, I don't know what that is. Definitely a brown grease, but I don't think it's the blue grease that just got dirty. I think it's something else in there. I'm going to remove the screw on the bottom of the crosswind block. And now we can remove the axle shaft by holding the crosswind block and pulling up and out on that axle shaft. And when I take the pieces and parts off, I like to clean them right then and inspect them, making sure that that's not the part that's at fault. We can remove our crosswind block. Again, you want to take a quick look, make sure that the groove in the crosswind block is good. A lot of times these are just made out of, I guess, what we would call pot metal. It's all pieces and parts left over or metals left over. Sometimes these ridges crack and that could cause a skip. Not happening there. So now it's kind of down to two more pieces. One of them I'm going to see if I can't remove this first. This is the oscillation gear. This is the gear that makes the spool go up and down, and I did notice on the spool we have what's called coning. There's more line gathering towards the bottom than there is to the top, but that's a matter of the shim washers on the axle shaft. That's not the gearing itself. And we can take a quick look here. I'm going to use a bristle brush to pull through the teeth of this. Inspect the teeth. A lot of times if there's a broken gear, that piece is going somewhere else. And you want to make sure that it doesn't get trapped in one of the other parts. That oscillation gear is fine. That leads us to, well, the main gear, which is my first thought in terms of what's going wrong here. And we can see. Well, credit to me. I guess I figured this one out. Now we got to figure out if we can get a replacement gear. But what we will see here is that, well, let's see if we can't pull this off to show you a little bit better. Trying to clean this up a little bit. Okay, what do we have? We have a whole bunch of teeth missing, and that's what's causing the click-clack. And a lot of times I always tell folks when I'm doing this, see if we can clean this off a little bit. I always tell them, and in all of my videos, I try to say, check them all, check for uniformity, check to make sure that there's nothing that's bent or broken and the like. And I think sometimes in the background, my ears are hearing me say, yeah, why do you keep saying that? Well, this is why I keep saying it. Take a profile view of this and you'll see the teeth are just completely chipped off here. On a face-on view, you can see that we've got them bent and, well, these are missing. Here's the issue with this now. We can simply go order that main gear if it's still available. Yeah, it probably is. Like I said, I believe that the early battles or the Fierce or the Pursuits use the same gear. So we should be able to get the replacement gear. And here's the problem. Where did those pieces go? So we've got a lot of dirt and debris and muck and mire and whatever other things Roger would like to include in his thesaurus of broken pieces and parts. I can see some of them. Here's a tooth here, I think. No, whatever. We're going to have to do a real good job. This is a broken tooth down here too, I believe. They're kind of, yeah, that's a broken tooth there. So I just got asked a question in the forum. Do you use ultrasonic cleaners? And the answer was, I do. You don't see them on camera a lot. One, it takes time. And two, there's not much to say about them other than they do a good job cleaning. In this one, I'm going to go do exactly that. I'm going to use an ultrasonic cleaner after I get rid of all of this dirt and debris. And I'm going to boil it down, if you will. I want to make sure that those teeth, wherever they may be hiding, and they can hide in all kinds of places, right? Here's a little guide ramp for that crosswind block, they can be under here. We just don't know, but we do know that there's 4 or 5 of those pieces. An ultrasonic cleaner will shake that loose and get that out of there. Now, my plan on this one, I got 2 things I need to find out. One is that main gear available? And I also want to find out, is the pinion gear available? Now, we didn't inspect that pinion gear, but here's what happens. A lot of times when you have that broken tooth and the reel continues to turn, that broken tooth traps in the pinion gear. And when it traps in that pinion gear, it does damage. Now, we can see that we've got this stuff has gone all the way up to the top. We want to make sure that if it's available, that we spend the extra $7 or $8 on it, and we replace the pinion gear at the same time that we replace that main gear. Now, I'm not noticing the damage. I'm looking as this spins around. There's 2 spots here I do notice. Just a little bit of a shine here where the rest of them is just choked with grease. But I'm not noticing it, and if it's not available, it's a risk we'll have to take to leave that pinion gear in here. But in the meantime, the core issue, as identified, it's a broken main gear. All right, so how does that gear break, right? You got to think about the mechanics of the reel itself. This is the one that's going to get twisted. This is the drive gear. So let's put this one in an environment where this may have happened. You can be in a deep sea environment. Let's say you're on the East Coast here. You're fishing in the rocks. You snag up. And, well, instead of grabbing the line with a board or something, I always recommend using something like a board or a pole or something, your knife, if you will. Wrap the line around the object, whether it's the handle of a knife or what have you, and use that to pull and free yourself from the snag. If you're going to try and power out of a snag, the weak link is going to be what breaks. And a lot of times, you've got a fishing reel like this that's got braid on it, and that braid, it might be 60-pound braid. I don't know what they have on here. But chances are that braid is stronger than the pot metal teeth. And so as you try to crank out of it, at some point, the resistance all rests on this piece, and we can see what happened in the damage of that piece. So, what did we learn? We learned a lot of things. We learned one of the things to diagnose as you're testing a reel and you're feeling it. If you feel a thump thump once every rotation, so what was happening is we're rotating. This is where it should go to the pinion gear. Stops, right? Thump, goes around again. Thump, and so on, right? Thump, right, as they come up on that. That it can oftentimes means it's the item that rotates once in the cycle. If you find that it goes thump, 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 then chances are it's one of these tracks that's bad, or you may have a broken secondary gear, which is the one that drives that oscillation gear on the back. And that you would notice with thump, thump on the up and down swing of your spool. So tips for all. We've got some parts to see if we can't order and find and replace. And we should be able to give this reel a second chance because, again, even though the Sargus was not sold in the volumes that the Fierces and the Battles and the Pursuits were sold, they were the basic reel that preceded them, and a lot of these parts did come over to join that next edition or that next brand when they were released. So I hope that helps. I hope you've learned something. I've certainly learned something. And for Chris, we are going to try and make this one work again for you. Just be patient. It does take a few days for us to get the parts. Before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, everybody involved in keeping us out of harm's way. Truly do appreciate your efforts day in and day out, and the way you step in and protect us as a career and as a avocation. I also want to thank everybody who's been watching. Appreciate your dedication to the channel, your comments, your watching, and of course your suggestions about how to continue to improve the channel. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.